nuclear weapons or Kim Jong-un singing firework in the interview. While America has had their fair share of laughs about North Korea and their dictator, they also have nuclear weapons that can reach the U.S. territory of Guam. The issue with North Korea having nukes is not a recent event. They've had nuclear weapons for the past 11 years. President Trump has been preaching the use of preemptive strikes against North Korea, but we strongly believe that we need to have diplomatic relations and to offer foreign aid for the removal of the North Korean nuclear program.
North Korean and American relations. They developed all the way back in the Korean War and have been a little shaky recently. In recent years, relations have been mostly defined by North Korea's 6 tests of nuclear weapons, development of long-range missiles capable of striking targets thousands of miles away, and its ongoing threats to strike the United States and South Korea with nuclear weapons. In February of 2016, President Obama hit North Korea with a round of approved sanctions from Congress that severely limited the growth of the North Korean economy. China criticized that move because we harmed the North Koreans' economy. It's like America is the parent and North Korea is the child. They don't want to follow the rules anymore.
The Treaty of the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, otherwise known as NPT, is an international treaty whose objective is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and to promote the cooperation in the peaceful uses of nuclear substances to further the goal of a world without nuclear weapons. But the North Koreans are the main adversary of what this treaty stands for, which is why it's surprising that they used to be a part of NPT until 2003 when they withdrew. In 1963, the North Koreans first started dealing with nuclear substances. The North Koreans' nuclear arsenal has grown in size and become much more powerful since then, as they flex their newly created weapons every chance they get. The danger that North Korea posed has increased exponentially throughout the years, and especially when Kim Jong-un took over as leader of the nation. Kim Jong-un, who's been stated as supreme leader on December 30th, 2011, and since then has accelerated the growth of the North Korean nuclear program. Since Kim Jong-un has taken office, North Korea has tested 6 nuclear weapons, the last of which was launched on September 3rd of this year.
In order to come to a resolution for today, we need to look back at history and see what has worked in the past. This isn't the first time that America has had a conflict that involved nuclear weapons. During the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, America was only minutes away from nuclear war with the USSR. The only way that the US got the Soviets to move their weapons out of Cuba was through compromise. The US pledged to not invade Cuba and to remove all nuclear weapons out of Turkey. Another time the United States used diplomacy during the Cold War was with the signing of the Truman Doctrine and the Marshall Plan. The Truman Doctrine promised resources to countries to prevent them from turning to communism, and thus was a major blow to the USSR. The Marshall Plan was put in place not long after the Truman Doctrine in order to help rebuild the economies of countries devastated by World War II and persuade them to side with America and not with the Soviets. America has been an enemy of North Korea since the 1950s during the Korean War, and our relationship probably won't change anytime soon. But at this moment, America's only goal is to put a stop to their nuclear program. Our group feels that the only way to successfully contain North Korea is through diplomatic relations, sanctions, and foreign aid. In 2007, America got North Korea to abolish their nuclear program by paying $700 million, and that idea can still work today. We could also remove our strict sanctions against North Korea so they can trade with other nations, which would greatly improve their economy. There are no right answers when it comes to dealing with North Korea. Some say that we cannot use diplomacy because we are dealing with a madman. People are also against the idea of loosening sanctions, since that will give them a better economy, which could fund their nuclear program. While tightening sanctions are of little effect unless we implement them on North Korean oil, which is one of their only exports, these sanctions on oil would collapse their economy even more, which sounds good, but we cannot do so as China is greatly opposed. Others, like our president, say that we need to unleash fire and fury in order to stop the issue. Luckily, the United States has held off nuclear war with North Korea for more than half a century, and hopefully one day we will finally have these issues resolved.